88, 93.7 FM, the web, the app, rockoftalk.com. I'm Eddie Aragon, the Rock of Talk. Glad to be here with you in the Kiva to kick off our Super Saturday of programming on AM 600 KIVA 93.7 FM. This is Tigo and Tracy's Albuquerque Real Estate Talk. They're the real estate experts, number one in the territory, and doing everything they possibly can to help you get on your way during this really an unbelievably great time for the housing market that is in short supply, but opportunities abound. They're here to tell you about them, and as always, we love having Tigo and Tracy here in the Kiva. Tigo and Tracy, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Eddie.
Good morning.
And it is an unbelievably interesting, I don't know what the right word is, real estate market right now. You know, we've been doing this, let's see, Tracy, how long you been?
Just 20, over 18 years.
Yeah, 18 years. And, you know, this is both second careers for us. But, I mean, I know people that have been in the real estate business in Albuquerque area for 50 years and are just going, we've never seen anything like this. And I think, and that's not a positive, it's not a negative, it just is, right? I mean, we had the most pending sales for residential sales ever for 1 month in August.
And pending sales means homes that went under contract to sell.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a very busy August. And Tigo, speaking of those realtors that you know that have been in the business for 50 years, so Thursday mornings you typically go to New Mexico Council of Exchangers, and there's a lot of really amazing minds there, right? Realtors that do networking.
Let's talk about that, but first let's just remind everybody how they can get a hold of us. Eddie, we just jumped into the show. We didn't even
I'm going to introduce you all, but you guys just run with it.
I mean, it's almost like we've been doing this for 7 years.
Yeah,
oh, wait, we have.
Yeah, you've been doing at least 7 years. Let me go ahead and stop there and talk a little bit about what we have on today's program. So much that they have always prepared for you. Tigo and Tracy, as I mentioned, at the forefront of the market. New homes, short supply, not to mention the homes of the week, which Tracy always offers up. And I love hearing those stories about properties getting snapped up just the day that they are open housed. And that's got to be pretty exciting, especially for the seller. So Tigo and Tracy, take it away.
Well, let me tell one story about, just to give people an example of what's happening in our market right now. This is one story, right? So take it what it's worth. I mean, there's, whatever, 1,000, 1,500, about 1,200 homes per month going under contract. But Tracy, we had this home we listed over here and represented the seller, did all the marketing, did all the pre-marketing, got the word out, got the buzz out, scheduled a grand open house. And that first 2 days that it was on the market, we made it active in the MLS on a Friday. In the first 2 days, that Saturday, Sunday, there were 55 different people that came through that house.
55 different parties, many more people than that.
Yes, but potential buyers.
Potential buyers, and they did end up with 17 offers.
Yeah,
or something?
yeah, and that's just that's an example. That was a unique, and it was a very. It's almost like, that rare car that, the price gets bid up because you just can't find a lot of them like that. It's the same thing. It was, it was in a price point. It was a brick house, which we don't see a lot of. Single story, which are in higher demand than 2-story. It just checked all the boxes, right? And it was in that price range too that made. So yeah, I mean, that's the kind of market we're dealing with. Of course, Tracy, we're not seeing that across the board. I mean, obviously, as you go up in price, the activity isn't quite as strong, but still, well, we can talk about the journal article that I got quoted in.
Yeah.
And talking about
that was just last week.
I know, it was just.
You were in the journal and on KOAT 7 News last week.
I was, and
real estate expert right next to me here.
Yes, the stat guy. But it was
the Statomatic.
Yeah, so the higher end has been very busy as well, which is good to see. So, but I digress.
Yeah.
We wanted to talk about new construction, custom home building, what the process is like. How does somebody do that? Now, Trey, I pulled some data. I know it's hard to believe, but we pulled some data.
We've been seeing so many more new homes being built as infill around the city, and probably all you listeners have too, right? You go throughout North Albuquerque Acres or the Rio Grande Valley down in the valley or Rio Rancho or Corrales, and you see new homes going up. I'm not talking about Pulte or D.R. Horton, but new custom homes. And, it's a great time for that. And we thought it'd be good to just kind of go over the process. So, Tigo, what stat do you have?
Well, I wanted to, something that jumped out at me in all the different ways I slice and dice our market data was vacant land. And what I found is that vacant land sales are up about 30% for closed sales and about 45% in under contract sales versus last year. And so there's been this big surge in vacant land being sold. Now, needless to say, in Albuquerque, we have a lot of vacant land for sale. There's currently like 3,300, parcels listed, vacant residential lots for sale. But we know, Rio Rancho, there's 80,000 lots out there that aren't listed, but a lot of them are available. Also, Rio Rancho, a lot of them aren't buildable either. But that's a whole different conversation.
And that's what I was going to say. There's a lot of lots for sale, but ones where somebody can actually build a home are limited. Yeah. Right? Especially if you want utilities.
So let's talk about that, Tracy. Somebody thinking of, it's like, what? Can't find the home I'm looking for. I'm going to build the house that I want that's going to fit my needs, obviously in our new normal, whatever that is. And, people want bigger. I know. Don't roll your eyes at me. And
so let's
they
talk
want
about
bigger
it.
rooms.
Let's
they want
talk
this
about
and
the
that.
process,
Tigo. Yeah. So how would somebody start if they just say, I'm going to build that custom home I always wanted to build?
So what we typically see is the wrong way. We usually see somebody who's already bought a lot and now they're looking for a builder, right? Mm-hmm. What we want to do is help people buy the right lot, make sure it has the utilities, make sure that the infrastructure cost isn't going to make that cost prohibitive to build on. We often see people out looking for land first, and what we would prefer is let's do a consult about the whole process. Let's meet on Zoom or meet in the office or meet at lots and walk around them, and then talk about builders, because if you're not paying cash, having the builder and the lender in place before you actually put a piece of land under contract is really important. Now, some of our listeners probably already own land. It was in the family. They bought it a long time ago. Yeah. They've been ready to build. Yeah. So perfect. You're way ahead of the game. But, land lending is very different than buying a house. Most lenders don't do lot construction type loans, land construction type loans. So
let's stop there. Let's just drill down on that a little bit. If I wanted to buy a piece of vacant land and I'm gonna, and my plan is to build a house on it, can I get financing on that?
It depends. There are some land financing lenders out there that will just finance land. It's typically not a 30-year loan like you would think for a house. Most people, if they're really planning to build, they get a construction loan that also buys the land.
Okay, and I want to go there, but the next option. Well, let's break this down. So let's say, okay, I've got a lot and I want to build on it. No, say I don't have a lot. I want to pick a lot, I want to pick a builder, and I want to finance the whole thing. Can I do that?
Yes. And that's why we feel like, call us early. Let's get all of us in the process in it together so that we get the lending in place. We have you interview builders, tour homes that builders build, see what your money can buy. A lot of times.
Ideally, let's say ideal. In the ideal world, what would the process be? Would you start with the lender? Would you start with the builder? Would you start with the lot?
I would probably start with the builder and the lender at the same time.
I can see that. Makes perfect sense.
Most people know generally what part of town they want to find their land in.
Yeah.
And, they can get online on our website and see what land sells for generally in the areas where they're looking. Although if you don't look deeper, you might not realize the extra costs, right? So, but getting the builder and the lender going so you can afford to do it, the loan is there, and how it works, and what price lot you should be looking at for the value of the house, just kind of putting the cart before the horse. And what we have come to learn is a lot of the lenders that specialize in construction lending know a lot of builders, and they can help you. If you say, hey, I'm looking at spending $500,000 on a house, they can say, here's a couple names of builders. They might not want to, but they know them, right? They're working with them every day.
Yeah, they do.
They'd say, here's a few builders that we know of that build in that price range. Or you can pull out the Albuquerque monthly magazine from the 2 Parade of Homes sections, and you can look through
you can go
who
to the
builds, what prices, what their homes look like.
Yeah, so the Home Builder Association of Central New Mexico, just Google it. You can go there, search their website. There's all the
They
builders
have
are there.
hundreds of builders, so it's overwhelming. It's like have someone help you narrow it down, right?
Okay, let me just ask one more question about the financing thing. Let's say I own a piece of vacant land and I just own it. It's free and clear. I paid for it cash, or I paid it off, or it got inherited, or whatever, right? I own a piece of land free and clear. Can I use that as part of my down payment on my financing for my new construction?
So I'm not a lender, but the answer is typically yes.
Okay.
Right? Yes, that can be your down payment towards your new construction loan. And again, we've got lots of great lenders that do construction and land loans, not necessarily land as much as construction and lot loan where they take it out in one. So we're working to help you find a right builder. Then you can, figure out lending. We have you tour with the builders. They usually have some homes they can show you where they've sold, built for clients who are still open to having them come and show off their properties. Or they might have a house under construction somewhere where you can go and see what they do. A lot of the smaller builders don't build a ton of houses. You won't be able to walk through 30 houses in 5 different neighborhoods.
Well, and they're all very busy right now. That's the reality. I mean, if you go to some of the builders right now, they're going to tell you, I'll talk to you next year.
Yeah, and some of the builders that we would normally mention right now on our radio show are like, I really can't take anybody on right now. I'm booked out for the next 6 or 9 months, right?
Yep, at least.
Yeah.
I heard a good one the other day. The swimming pool builders are like out 2 years right now in Albuquerque. I heard that not just Albuquerque. I heard that about Austin as well.
Oh,
is
wow.
that swimming pool bill? Everybody said, you know what? I'm going to be home a lot more. I guess we're getting a swimming pool. I don't know if that's the correlation, but there's something going on with swimming pool builders right now. They're all very backed up.
We don't have a lot of swimming
we
pool
don't.
builders. First of all,
Not like Phoenix or something.
no.
Yeah.
And the top 1 or 2 that are really well known as swimming pool builders here are always about a year or more out.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's not that unusual, but yeah, they're busy.
We digress.
Yeah.
So the reason, one of the reasons we're talking about building this week, Tracy, is there was the monthly survey that the National Association of Home Builders does with builders around the country. They'll do this survey, and it's a sentiment index. So what they're asking builders is, how confident are you in the building market right now, the residential single-family home building market right now. And last week when it came out, it increased to the highest point in the 35-year history of that survey. Home builders are extremely confident about the market, and they've got a couple headwinds.
Well, one of which is lumber prices.
Exactly.
COVID has affected lumber prices in a couple of different ways, right? From trucking, from people stopped for a while. The supply is behind.
Well, a lot of the mills shut down during the early days of the pandemic because they thought, well, we're not going to need lumber because nobody's going to be building homes.
Well, plus everybody was shut down.
Well,
you couldn't go
right.
to work. You couldn't be around people, even if it was outdoor work.
And of course, the wildfires hasn't helped that. I don't know if that's. I think that might be some people just speculating because I don't know how much the wildfires affects the lumber supply. I'm sure it does, but that's one of the things that's out there. So that's been a thing, Tracy. We have a home that we're very familiar with that's in the construction process, and we just know from the original point when the bid got put together to currently be right when we're getting ready for the lumber
framing.
For the lumber purchase, it's about $15,000 more than it was a year ago or 6 months ago. It was about a year ago, and
well, the bid was probably 6 months ago. But anyway.
Yeah, and most of those building contracts have escalation clauses for material like that, especially commodity materials
and we're
like
talking
lumber.
about a house that's what, 400,000?
About 500.
500,000.
About 500, yeah.
That the lumber price has gone up 15,000 while the house was being built.
So that's one of the headwinds.
Pretty substantial.
The other big headwind builders have, and this is, we've seen this in national stories, but we're also seeing it locally, is the labor market. Mm-hmm. And just
finding contractors, and everybody's busy. I know, like the concrete suppliers are so busy; it's hard to get them out on your schedule.
Yep.
They're putting it behind.
Framing crews, it's across the board, which is such a strange thing to even think about where we are when we think about we're at 10% unemployment in New Mexico right now or something. Eddie might know this better. I think it's somewhere in that range, but yet we're having trouble finding people that want to do the trades.
Right.
There's just not enough people. Part of it is the skills too, because a lot of those are skilled trades. I mean, think about an electrician. That's not just somebody that can show up on a job site tomorrow and start, trimming wire out. That's a skill that has to be learned over time. So
it's a long process because they do apprenticeships and everything.
Yeah.
So the want to find a lot. So let's talk about some of the land around.
Oh yeah, yeah. So okay, I'm going to pose it as a question. So I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to build my house, and I'm going to go buy one of those lots. I've seen some lots for $10,000 in Rio Rancho. How's that going to work?
So typically,
I like you looked at me like I'm crazy.
Typically, land in Rio Rancho,
that's
in that price range is not near utilities.
Yeah.
And the cost to bring utilities to the lot would make it cost prohibitive, or you should just go buy a much higher price lot that already has utilities nearby. However, I have seen a few errant ones. So when you said 10,000, I was like, I was hoping you'd say 2,000, because I have seen a few that at least have electric and gas, perhaps, mostly electric, and they are close to subdivisions, so that maybe you could get one for that price. What we typically get is somebody calling saying, I want to buy that Rio Rancho lot that's $3 or $5 or $10,000, and I want to put a mobile home on it. And that's where I say, great, call planning and zoning, call the city or call the county if it's in the county, and find out what the restrictions are, because the city of Rio Rancho, for sure, a long time ago put a law, a regulation in place.
Zoning restriction, yes.
That says you have to have at least a 2-car garage, and that was because they were trying to discourage manufactured homes.
And that's true in Sandoval County, which is the unincorporated part of Rio Rancho, west of Unser. Same thing.
Rainbow Boulevard.
Yeah. Oh, what did I say?
You said Unser.
Oh, I meant Rainbow. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Well, I always take
it's
care
close.
Of you.
It's it's one of those roads.
But let's talk about the real lots. Let's not talk about Rio Rancho.
Great.
So let's say I want to build in North Albuquerque Acres. I want to be somewhere around the Paseo corridor, west of Tramway. I want to be close to Trader Joe's, blah, blah. I want one of those 0.89 acre lots that we call an acre, North Albuquerque Acres. So what a lot of times happens is people call and they ask about the lot that's in North Albuquerque Acres. It's $125,000, and they're all excited. And I'm going,
sounds great.
For $125,000 in North Albuquerque Acres, what you're going to get is a lot that has an arroyo, some flood zone through it, and you're going to have to either figure out what spot of that lot can be outside the floodplain, because you can't really alter the arroyos and then make the neighbor downstream from you be flooded, right?
Right.
So those lots have to be engineered to accommodate a house, and that costs money. You have to take part of it out of the flood zone, and you have to redirect and make sure the water doesn't hurt the neighbors that it's going to go to next. So you're going to end up with a lot more cost on those, and maybe not very much buildable on it, because there might be a big arroyo through it. And then you're going to find other lots in North Albuquerque Acres, the ones that are buildable, that might not have flood implications. They're going to start about $225,000.
Yeah.
So
that's the real lots.
That's the real lots. Now I've had people. I did sell one about a year and a half ago now, and it was $125,000. It had some floodplain through it. The client knew they were going to have to build a little bridge over their for their driveway. And somebody had already done the engineering on it, so that was already paid for. They already had the approved where the house could be built on it, and it was a very motivated seller. They really were ready to sell that land. And it was sort of an anomaly. But typically, North Albuquerque acres, you're going to be $200,000 and up for the land. So, Tigo, when we talk about home prices, there's this general rule in building of how much you should spend on the land in relation to how much your home costs, right? So you don't spend $200,000 on a piece of land and then build $100,000 property on it, right? A house on it, right? So they typically say the house should maybe be 3 times the cost of the land.
Three would be the minimum, but 4 is really kind of more a better general rule, is what you see.
Paying $200,000 for the land, they're probably going to be billed a $600,000 to $800,000 when they're all done.
Yes,
right, or more.
Or more. Yeah, and so what happens? Tracy, like if somebody says, "Well, I've seen lots for like $30,000 or $50,000," maybe on the west side. I mean, is there such a thing?
Yeah, not anymore, but not too much more. So we used to have lots in the Knolls, which is off Coors behind Target at Ellison. Irving.
Okay.
Coors and Irving, Paseo area.
Yep.
Right behind there to the west on the side of the hill is the Knolls. Lots of lots available there. There's still lots there. I think maybe every once in a while one comes up for sale. They're small, 1/5 of an acre or something.
Well, and we're talking vacant.
And they used to be. I sold one about 5 years ago for $50,000, and it sat on the market a long time. Now they're like $90,000.
Yeah.
Then there's the petroglyphs area. So up at the top by Montano Unser area, all the utilities got put in there. Yep. And, you can find a decent lot there for $70,000 with utilities. The thing there that you have to be careful of, and the builders will tell you this when you talk to them, is you can not be for sure that you can build a swimming pool because there's lava under there, right?
Yeah, you need a jackhammer to dig your foundation is what I've heard from people. Yeah, it's all rock up there. And
so then there's the North Valley, and I looked.
Can we lump North Valley and Corrales together? Because they kind of...
We can, sort of. Corrales, like on the side of the hill, is going to be less than down in the valley.
Sure.
So maybe $100,000 on the, up above Loma Larga. In the valley, it could be $200,000 and up. I saw a parcel there that's a nice one, $300,000, for an acre in the valley. Same with the North Valley, right? You can really, to find a decent lot in the North Valley, there's a couple little neighborhoods that are new, that are kind of infill, like Valle and Encantado Drive. They're almost a half acre for $105,000, $110,000 with some utilities. They have a preferred builder, but that's good.
I like that 3-acre one for $1 million in the North Valley.
Yeah, the one on Chamisal Road. So 3 acres, it's $1 million. So there's something for everybody. But finding a nice buildable lot for $30,000, $40,000 is pretty hard these days.
It's a challenge, and
it would be commensurate with what the home values are around it typically.
Yeah, and that's a great point.
If you can find one.
And we haven't even talked about the East Mountains areas, right? I mean, that opens up a whole nother can of worms when you're talking about vacant land, because there's so many different areas there, so many different types of terrain. You've got trees, you got flat, you got mountainous, you've got dirt roads, you got paved roads, you got well, you got no water, you got haul water.
Right.
It's a whole different thing in the East Mountains.
It's one of those things where you definitely don't want to buy the lot until your builder has walked the land with you and has confirmed, yes, we can build on this, we can put a septic system here, we can get you water. There's no restrictions. There's a lot of implications, but that's pretty much everywhere.
But I mean,
let the builder be the one that helps with that.
Let me give you an example, and I think the price was maybe $25,000 for a 5-acre developed land. It needs a septic in Stanley.
Okay, sure.
I mean, it's Stanley. It's out in the East Plains, Eastern Plains.
The King ranches, the King families, all out there.
It's just flat and open. But I mean, if that's what you want to get away from it all, and you have a limited budget, there are pieces of property like that.
And when you say Utilities, you mean there's electric.
There's electric.
You're still going to have to probably figure out water and septic,
That
which is
particular
going to
one,
add
I think,
a lot.
had water. Yeah, water's a big deal.
Water's huge if it's Entranosa, but figuring out water and well is going to add a lot to the price of that property. So.
Wow, I think we beat up land enough today, Tracy. So let's just a couple things. I just want to say one thing about. I can't get by without talking about market stats. Just a little bit.
I got to talk about some houses on the market, though, Tigo.
Okay.
So we just listed a couple this week. Desert Pinon, 3936 Desert Pinon in North Rio Rancho.
Yep.
Just under 1,800 square feet.
Yep.
Was one of the first neighborhoods, as I recall, where D.R. Horton started building very energy-efficient homes.
Mm-hmm.
This one's $230,000. It's a 4-bedroom single story.
Yep.
Another one that's a custom home in Rio Rancho. It's 1674 14th Avenue Southeast, so it's very close to Rust Hospital on the half acres just west of Rust Hospital.
Yep.
A custom home by ProTech. It was built in 2005. Very beautiful single story for $319,000. So I'm sure that's going to get a lot of action this weekend.
I mean, 319 half acre. You got some breathing room around you.
1,900 square feet.
A lot going on in that Unser corridor. There's some new construction going on up west of there.
Yep,
some of the home builders are doing some stuff. There's a lot of activity around there.
Yep, it's a beautiful home for the money, for sure. Others, we have a new one that's a really sweet one. It's 2700 Vista Grande Drive, and it's number 78. So Vista Grande is a condo complex or townhome. I think it's townhome. Anyway, this one's really unique. It's an end unit, and Vista Grande, this whole complex, sits on the bluff, sort of by St. Pius.
It's 0.11 acres, so it's a townhome.
It's a townhome because it owns the land. It sits on the bluff, sort of by St. Pius, overlooking the river valley and the mountain, looking back towards the city and the mountain. This is one of the largest units there, and it's an end unit. It's 2,973 square feet. So it's got a lower, a main, and an upper level, and they take advantage of the views. It also has an elevator, which I don't believe any of the others in there have.
Okay.
So it's basically 3 stories, but it has an elevator. It's $360,000, 2700 Vista Grande Drive, number 78. So if that's of interest, give us a call right away. I love looking at the views from that property.
Speaking of new construction, Tracy, let's just talk about 1400 Mountain for a moment.
Yep.
This is Mountain, and what's the crossroad?
1404 Mountain. That would be 14th.
1400
very
Mountain is
close.
at 14th. Oh, I get it. Okay.
It's very close to Tigway Park, the Old Town area, the museums.
Those are townhomes or condos?
They're townhomes.
Townhomes. So you own the land, and there's four units, and they're $425 each, and they're brand new construction. And they're just about finished. We have some photos online of these properties.
But that are weeks old right now. The photos online don't show that they're almost done.
Yeah.
So I know there's photography being done this coming week.
Yep.
With real photos.
So if you're looking something in that, Old Town,
Sawmill
area, take a look at those. It's 1400, 1404,
Mountain
but basically
Road.
14th and Mountain. Down there by Old Town.
We have several open houses today, too.
Okay.
I know you have a lot of stats you want to get to, Tigo.
We're
almost out of time.
Okay.
So call us if you want to know about our open houses or get on our website, welcomehomeabq.com. Give us a ring, 448-8888. We are with Keller Williams Realty. I'm not sure we said that earlier, but Venturi Realty Group, and we'd be honored to help you. So, Tigo, some final stats.
Let me just give you one final stat here, Eddie, before we wrap up. The September numbers, I've already started to take a look at what's going on. We know August was off the hook, all-time record setting in homes going under contract in August. September 2020 versus September 2019 so far, month to date, we're up 46% in under contract units. So we went from 544 last year to just under 800 this year. So big jump. Still over last year, which is shocking since we're down 40% in inventory versus last year. And so, the demand story continues. Doesn't seem to be any let up in the demand. There was a little tiny, incy-bincy little increase in inventory for the first time last week, but otherwise we're just still rocking and rolling. Eddie roaring back, and we're, at least for our team.
Yeah, I would say, like, if you look at July and August, not counting year-to-date stats, I'd say we're up pretty well. So it's interesting because we should be in state fair time right now.
Yep.
And instead we're selling houses and, state
houses that we can say that you're slinging them, right?
Yeah, we're slinging them.
Slinging those houses out there, and I think that's exciting. And folks, I'm telling you right now, with the interest rates, right, Tigo and Tracy?
Yep.
Never lower. This is the time to prepare. And if you're looking for a mortgage broker, give Tigo and Tracy a call, specifically Tracy. She'll help you out with who you need to go ahead and get directly connected to. Be prepared before you show up. Be ready to compete with that stamp of Tigo and Tracy on your offer. Let me tell you, your offer will be taken quite seriously. Them and their team are the leading real estate experts here in our market. 550-500 anytime for me. If you can't get a hold of Tigo and Tracy, I'll put you directly in touch